What's popping, y'all? We're back with the DeAndre Way podcast, and today is a very special day. I have with me a wonderful guest. She comes from The Trust, the Game of Greed. If y'all ain't checked it out, you better check it out. Check out the podcast episodes. She came in this game with a mission, a plan. She wasn't taking no prisoners. She had an agenda that she was going with. And then if anybody else got in the way, then hey, you better get off the train tracks. And I have no further pleasure to introduce the wonderful, the wise, and the cunning Miss Patterson. What's popping?
Hey, DeAndre, that was a good introduction. Thank you.
Well, of course. I had to, bring you in with that life and energy that you was bringing to the show. I know you was undercover for a little bit, but you rose up as the episodes went further down the line.
Yeah. So I was not a reality show watcher. The only ones I watched were like the Married at First Sight type. And so I was a little clueless. I don't know if that was apparent or not on the show.
Well, it's okay. That's okay. Well, that enters me to my first question: is why did you decide to apply for the trust?
I actually didn't have to apply. A fellow comedian who I didn't know she was a cast director, she messaged me and said they were looking for a seasoned person for this reality show. And so I filled out the paperwork and there I was.
Okay, and you filled it out. So when you apply for the show and you fill out the paperwork and you eventually find out you're accepted onto the show, they don't tell you much information. It's very vague and whatnot. Do you have any idea like what type of show this could be?
Not really, not really. They kept saying, watch Big Brother, watch Big Brother, watch Survivor as far as kind of format, I guess. And I knew it was a Netflix, so I thought that's a big deal. Other than that, no, I don't think I really knew what to expect.
Okay.
I knew
So
it
like
involved, oh, and I did know it involved money. Yeah.
okay. Well, that's important. Netflix and money. I mean, look, I'm signing up too.
Yeah.
So definitely, I don't I like I'm going for that adventure too. So yeah, you get accepted onto the show, and then soon time goes by, and it's time to leave. So what's going on through your head the last night you're at home packing your bags?
So I am okay. Some of my friends and family are worried about what am I doing. I did know that I was flying to the Dominican, but I didn't know where I was going to be. So everybody kind of had a little concern, and I was nervous, but I just said, okay, I can be a nervous, but I'm not going to be afraid. I'm just going to go. And I just thought, okay, this is some kind of cool opportunity that I never even dreamed would ever happen. And I was kind of in that mindset.
Okay, nice. Yeah, just go with the flow and kind of see what's going to shake down. So, you get on the plane, you head out to the Dominican Republic, and, it's warm, tropical weather, and you have to do your quarantine for a little bit, and you guys are isolated, so you're not talking to nobody. You get your electronics taken away, and so when you first get in the car to head to the location, what are you thinking? What's going through your head?
Actually, it was kind of weird because it turned out I didn't need to be, but I was literally blindfolded from the time I walked out of my room all for the entire trip, which I guess wasn't totally necessary. So anyway, I'm blindfolded, and that felt kind of weird. And it kind of caught me off guard a little bit. Not that I was scared, but I thought, oh, this is weird. And then we get to the place, and then we're walking, and they're just leading you until finally you go into the interview room. So you haven't seen anything. You're hearing people's voices, but you really don't know where you are, or what's really going on.
Yeah, we in a loop right now, a Scooby-Doo mystery going on, and we have no idea what is happening. But soon, yes, we get to the location, and eventually, after a while, your blindfold does come off, and then you see everyone. So what's your initial reaction upon seeing the rest of the cast?
so my initial reaction is, we're lined up along the ocean side in fold chairs and we're still blindfolded. And then they say, take them off. And so you just kind of look to your left and look to your right. I think that Julie was on one side of me, and I think Jewel's was on the other side. So we kind of see each other. And I will tell you what totally struck me was Tolu's dress. As we were standing up to walk down, I'm going, oh my God, I couldn't get over her dress because, the sun's hitting it and it was so stunning. And I'm in my Amazon sundress and Birkenstocks. So that was my first initial feeling. And then as we went down the stairs, Julie she's got her glamorous outfit on and she's tall because she's got some real high heels on. And I'm just going, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. And so that was my first impressions.
Okay. Yeah, definitely the ladies came out popping, I was like, whoa, and it really,
Yeah.
really started off with the bang in themselves with the outfits. So we get down and you guys meet Brooke for the first time, and she explains the game essentially, well, a small part of it, saying, $250,000 is yours. You guys won, and you have a chance to share the money equally or vote someone else out. And, you do the math, $250,000 divided by 11, roughly $20,000. So, not life-changing by any means necessary, but could take care of some immediate means. And then, what are you thinking about these rules or the structure so far as you know it when you first heard the stakes?
I think to be honest, I understand the rules, and we go up and we see where we're going to be, and then I don't know, then all of a sudden we're kind of together, and then it was like, yeah, we could all do this, and I just kind of kept doing the math, and I thought, well, I guess we could. So it was a little bit odd and a little bit and a little bit, I don't know what's happening. We're getting, because we got to kind of see each other. And then, I don't know if you knew, but Gasper and Bryce and Lindsay and I are all in the same room. Mm-hmm. And so those are kind of the first people we're kind of talking. And I also think we did have to be careful, if you're mic'd versus unmic'd, there was kind of rules with that. So maybe when we first really sat down as a group, were we able to really talk about and listen to the rules and everything. And it was okay, because it was kind of very vague right at first. Yeah, I would say, yeah.
They didn't give you guys everything that you wanted off the bat. It was kind of just like, here's the money, and you guys could all winners, and that's it. And you're like,
yeah,
like, there is no catch. So it's like, okay, there gotta be something. But yeah, she explains it, and you guys soon understand and go up to the house after no one is voted out, clearly. And, you start getting to the house, exploring things and whatnot. And you get introduced to anyone. Who's kind of like the first people that you really got good vibes and then got close with?
Actually, Winnie was my very first one, because she was the last one in the line, but she walked up to me and she said, what's your name? And she goes, here, hold on to my arm as we're walking up the stairs. I don't know if there's a statement Julie says about, well, there's grandma standing next to me, and I don't know if she needs to sit down. It's hot, so I don't know if they kind of have a feeling if I'm able to do stuff. So anyway, so Winnie was my first person, and that just remained from then on. And then actually, I guess we kind of end up upstairs, and it's the four of us, and there's just one room left. For some reason, some people got up there really fast and got the really nice scene, the scenery rooms. And so then we all just said, okay, yeah, we can all be in here. And so I don't really remember a lot of talking. It was just like more introductions, but I felt okay as them as roommates.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you first meet everybody, everyone's, exchanging pleasantries and whatnot, and it's not going to be too hostile the first time, or else that'd be kind of like, whoa.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get in the house, and soon you have some time, but then the host, Brooke, pops up again and says There'll be a series of tests to see if or who will be voted out. And the first one is you have a box. It's a box of secrets essentially about each person. And random people read each secret, and someone could say if it's them or not. So, how did you feel about this first game or test?
It was really kind of funny, and they didn't use everybody's clue, of course, and everything, all the suggestive ones kept going to Jewels, and uh, then of course one went to Bryce and Brian, and so it really was fun. It wasn't like anybody was upset about it necessarily. It was just interesting to see if you actually, sorry,
It's okay. It's okay.
um, it was just interesting if what was going around. And then, a couple of people stood up and said, oh yeah, that's me. And like Brian. And then I think Lindsay stood up and said, that's me. So it was just kind of fun because then you were still left wondering whose secret was who.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And like, yeah, people could lie about say it was their secret when it wasn't, and they could do vice versa. So it was definitely interesting. But ultimately, it wasn't any major stakes. You wouldn't gain any money, lose any money off this test. How
Yeah.
did you feel that Jewels, when Jewels was kind of like getting all the negative things about him since?
And so from the show perspective, I am just freaked out because he is saying he's a stripper. And he's good looking and he's friendly, but it was very off-putting to me because number one, to me, male strippers, I'm from the era of the ladies' bachelorette parties, and we would be at the club, and then the guys would come out. And I can remember a stripper chasing me clear into the women's restroom, and they throw women over their shoulders, and I was totally freaked out. And so I don't know. I think I had a little bit of PTSD of, okay, this is freaking me out. And I'm talking something that happened probably 50 years ago, right? I'm in my 20s. So that's really not at the forefront, but I don't know if that was one. And I was just kind of, ew, stripper. And, the shirt was always unbuttoned and kind of strutting around. And I don't know, at my age, that just wasn't impressive to me. And it did make me suspicious.
So what was it that was so suspicious? Like, was it because he had his shirt unbuttoned? I mean, he technically didn't do anything or say anything
No,
to negative to make him a target per se. So I'm just curious about what
no.
made him suspicious to you per se.
Here's what made it suspicious to me. So they had gone into the vault. And remember, we're all outside when him and Simone are talking about, they were down there. Well, all of a sudden, he had on this nice looking shirt. He had on these really nice glasses. And he's just talking like a businessman. And I went, well, who's this guy? I mean, it was like it was all a different person. And I can remember saying to Lindsay, what's going on here? That doesn't even sound like Joel's. I mean, it sounds like, and so then I thought, oh, he may not be saying who he was. That's probably when I thought, I don't think he's probably not a stripper, but I didn't know who he was. But that was just off the top of my head. I think, okay, well, this person just isn't telling the truth because he's acting so different coming out of the vault.
Okay, so you felt that energy shift, and that's what kind of raised your eyebrows a little bit.
Yeah,
essentially.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, not anything like I didn't like him particularly. I just thought, okay, right off the bat, here's somebody who's just, and how women talk about their red flags. The red flags are like popping out of me.
Yep, I understand that. And sometimes as people, when we try and like hide something or act a little different, or lie about something, we can put on a different persona, and it can be a little like, whoa, like to people, because you guys already spent all this time together, and that makes sense. So yeah, as you said, we finished that game and whatnot, get into the vault. It's Simone and Jewels, and they have two options. They decide to pick the option for the team. How did you feel about them picking that option for the team?
I think I was okay with it. And And again, remember, we don't really know everybody all that well. And to be honest, when they blocked, I think it's blocked Tolu, they blocked Tolu and Bryce's vote.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, at the time, I'm not even quite sure what that means. But,
Mm-hmm.
in a way, because this was just like the first time we're kind of, okay, maybe going to do something. But what really got me was Simone blocking Tolu, because all of a sudden, Tolu's going, wait a minute. And Simone's going, yes, I didn't want to take this away from you. So then, of course, me, it's not shown, but I said something about, well, why didn't you stand up for her? Right. And so there's kind of all sorts of hubbub going around. And that's just what happened. And then it's time to vote, I guess. That was our first vote. And so I did not vote Joelle's out. And because at that time, I think I was kind of looking at Simone more than Joelle's in the first place, Yeah.
So did you know that, did you know that Joelle's was getting votes on him before the trust ceremony?
I do. And I think they probably thought I was also voting for him. They didn't really need my vote, but I think I was supposed to vote for him. And I think I remember kind of having a change of heart and going, I don't know if I feel right about voting somebody off at that moment.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And I mean, from your point of view, it's kind of none of your business what other people are doing, because you're trying to stay in your lane at this point. It's still early in the game. As long as you're not getting your hands dirty at this point, you're kind of good to go on that aspect. So,
yeah,
neutrality in Switzerland is the key to the game at this first stage of it. And yes, Jules unfortunately gets voted out that day, and soon everyone leaves at that point. So tell me how, right when after he got voted out, like the mood of everyone and the vibe of the house.
Yeah. Everybody was, I think the guys were really emotional. Brian was mad. And so the mood was kind of, I wouldn't say depressed, I would say upset. The mood is upset, and the guys are like, oh, I see what's going on. I kind of feel that. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, we got to see a little bit of it on TV, and Brian was super upset, and he was very throw his hat in the ocean.
Oh yeah.
Well, soon, yes, that's we eventually the trust total is now $255,000 because you guys added the $5,000, and it was a wake up call to everybody and whatnot, and everyone shook, and so it's soon time for the next. I keep calling them games. They're not games. They're tests.
Yeah, challenges. Yeah.
So, are you? So you said Winnie's your tentative number one at this point. Is there anyone after Juelz gets voted out you get closer to right after that, or you kind of become a better rapport with?
Actually, Lindsay and I, since we're roommates, we're pretty close. We're having some nice conversations, not necessarily about the show, but just, becoming to know each other and learning about each other a little bit. And then Winnie and Tolu and Julie are down the hall. So really, I'm probably, closer to Lindsay at this moment, just because we're roommates. And then, I think we're all kind of down around the pool. Things are going on. I don't know if you notice on the show, I'm not around the little groups of people a lot talking. So I don't really know where sometimes you're pulled in for an interview. So maybe everybody's at the pool, but people are going in and out of interviews. So that day I'm not really around much until we're all talking about the next vote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you was doing your own thing, doing your knitting in your room, eating some Lay's chips.
Oh my God, the Lay's chips!
But soon it's time for the next test, and the next test is for you guys you're down at the pool and you rank yourselves lining up from least to most, depending on the question and what's asked. And the first
Mm-hmm.
question is smartest to least smartest. And so, how are you feeling about this first, like, smartest to least? How are you feeling about this whole thing in general, especially and the first one when you get started?
Yeah, it was okay. It seemed kind of silly to me. And I put myself last as far as smartest, I guess, because I knew from talking to people that I was the least. I didn't, I don't have big college degrees that you were kind of hearing. And so I was, okay. So I thought I'm just back here, I'm just going to be down here. I don't care. Um, and then because I think it's Brooke at first before she pulls in Jake, I believe. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then,
Yeah.
yeah. And then when Jake is kind of pushing people around and then people are getting upset and, it kind of got a little, all right, whatever. It was just kind of a different setup. But then, of course, we're seeing the Julie upset, and people are that. Wait a minute. Why is he telling us this and that? And so you're feeling that. I don't want to say emotions, but you're just kind of seeing people getting a little bit irritated with
Do you
with
think
the
that?
whole thing, not just at Jake, just with the whole process.
Yeah. And do you think that it was because when Julie's talking to Jake, like saying, "Oh, why are you up there?" Blah blah. It seems like she's kind of joking. Her tone, from my point of view. Do you think the whole thing was taken a little too serious, or and whatnot? Because it seems like
I
from your perspective, it was kind of just like I was. It is what it is. It is what it
It's just,
is.
yeah. Yes, it began to be taken more serious. And the only time I remember standing next to Gaspar and somebody was said, "Who do you think is funniest?" And I thought I was funnier than Gaspar because they didn't tell people that I was also a stand-up comedian. So, that was the only thing. And we were just kind of joking. But yes, the Julie thing did get you could see, and I don't know why that was happening so fast as I'm thinking about it, but she's upset where he's putting her and he's putting Brian and the guys, and so yeah, I think I just kind of I just was like, okay, I didn't want to be part of it for one, but it kind of turned into a thing, as you could see.
Did you take offense to Jake taking control?
A little bit, a little bit. He definitely had that vibe of when you watch those movies and the drill sergeant. I think he kind of had that vibe a little bit. And I think I said in an interview, I go, I'm not one of your soldiers. It was kind of like, because he was really kind of being that, talking to us that way a little bit more. Maybe it could have been said in a different tone of voice. But yeah, it was a little different. And I don't know that I totally agreed with him being that person. It could have been, it could have been anybody, to be honest. I don't know why it ended up being him, to be honest. Why was it him? It could have been any one of us up there just saying, okay, well, you guys move here. I could have been up there going, okay, you guys move here, do this. I mean, and not been, it would have been a different situation, I think.
Well, I will say, like you said, it could have been anyone, but he was the one kind of to take control in that reins, and I guess anyone could have done it. But I think honestly, like just from what it seems, you were fine with kind of like whatever, and you maybe didn't want to have control in that spot because ultimately it was not a big deal to you. It was kind of just like, all right, and I'm just gonna chill
Yeah.
and take notice. So maybe that's just more of his personality. He was in the military, as we know, and all these other
Yeah.
things, and
Yeah.
that's just kind of just the role he felt like he was into. And if somebody
Hmm.
else wanted to, I think somebody else could have jumped up there, but I don't think anyone, from our point of view, nobody did try to kind of do that.
Yeah, I
So
don't. Yeah, and DeAndre, I don't think that it was. It was like, oh well, go with it. It's not. It's whatever. It was kind of one of those. Oh, whatever. Yeah, I think we were. I was kind of to that point. Let's just go on with it.
yeah, no, you were definitely, you were just like, come on now.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely said he had to take people's emotions out of the decision making. It's difficult, and everyone's super emotional. But now he gets to decide which two people he will send to the vault. And so this is a little twist. And he can pick himself. Most people don't want to go into the vault. Do you want to go into the vault?
I didn't, I don't know. I don't think it really mattered to me at that point. I don't think if he sent me to the vault, I don't think I would have cared. You know, it wasn't like
Okay.
I was pissed that two people got picked to go to the vault.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. And so he eventually picks Bryce and Gasper to go. And, some people are upset at Jake because, they didn't get picked or his reasoning for getting picked. Were you fine with him picking those two?
Yeah, I don't remember that I don't remember that being a problem to me. Because remember, I'm still kind of a little clueless. I'm just kind of hanging around. So, all right, they're good. It's those two going to the vault. Yeah.
Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, it's easy breezy right now. So they get into the vault, Gasper and Bryce. Offer one is you can each take $5,000 out of the trust for yourself, but you both have to cast a vote for the same person at the next trust ceremony. Offer two, you can choose to protect one person from a elimination at the next trust ceremony, but $10,000 will be subtracted from the trust. What do you think about these two offers, and which one would you have picked?
I think those were tough offers for those two, especially. And I think that, I don't know how long they were in the vault. It seemed like a long time. And I'm trying to think, is this where is this where Julie offered the protection?
Yes.
Yes. So I was probably more a little bit about that, right? Because she had immunity, right? Yes. So yeah, and then we lost $10,000, but they thought that was best for the group. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so definitely. So one thing that's also kind of confusing, I guess, as a viewer's perspective is, so you guys lost $10,000. This is what they kind of, I think, messed up in the show a little bit, and they didn't give full transparency. So you heard the two offers. They said $10,000 will be subtracted from the trust if you protect somebody, but the first one is you each can take $5,000. Would that $5,000 you each took be subtracted as well, or would it not be subtracted?
Yes, it
That's
would have been subtracted. I felt that way too. As I watched the show, I kept going, I wonder how much money, I kept being confused on how much money is in the trust, right? So yes, either way, it was still $10,000.
Okay, that's what I figured, but they didn't
I mean,
explain that.
yeah,
I just wanted to
yeah,
clarify that with you.
yeah.
And that makes sense. Yeah, because I was like, well, maybe they should have just took the money then. So if the
Yeah,
money's in the vault
yeah,
anyways. So
yeah.
I don't
But
know.
those guys were, I know that they would not want to kick somebody off. You know what I mean? So I can understand their decision for sure.
Okay, definitely. And so you have after this, well, after they go into the vault, whatever, you are talking with the girls and whatnot, and you guys are all talking about Jake and what happened earlier, and you call him out, and you say he's a misogynist. So what's going on?
Oh yeah, look, DeAndre, I got my shirt on.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh my God. Yeah, we are at that point because I had not heard the stories that Winnie and Tolu were talking about and the kind of the things that were being said to them. But we're also, all the ladies are kind of hearing, I don't know, just kind of sexism stuff. I don't know.
So you
Anyway, we're in the room. Huh?
So you're hearing this from the other girls.
Yes. And so we're in the room. And then, of course, I am in full feminist, I'm just there. I am there, and I'm not going to stand for stuff because before I went there, a lot of equal rights are being taken away. I mean, everything. It's just, there's a lot of icky stuff going on in the world, the racism, the sexism. I am really sensitive to all of that. And so when they're talking to me, I am just livid. I am so livid that this is even being allowed, number one, and that it's being said to them. And so we're all in the room, me, them, and Lindsay. And then Simone comes into the room. So she's, right, and so it was kind of, okay, so we're all kind of together on this Jake thing. And then we kind of leave the room, and I'm kind of in my mind, well, I think I'm going to say something, I'm in one of those moods. And so, I think as the day goes, that's when Jake goes around and starts apologizing to everybody. And so when we're all down there along the ocean on that bench, see, Tolu had really apologized to Tolu, and she took it sincerely. And I trusted Tolu, and I trusted, okay, because he would have been gone that night. He would have been gone, period, out. And I still look at that and I go, oh my God. I still look at that and I go, what happened to us? So anyway, we believe her. He's a good guy. He's sincere. But then that's when I'm going, and I'm not telling them, because I don't know who is telling each other, because I knew then that Simone had gone and was talking to the guys. So I knew she had told them what was going on about what we were saying regarding what Jake had been saying to Tolu and Winnie. And I think I saw something. I thought, oh, okay. So when I said I'm voting somebody out, but I'm not going to tell you who it is, I was going to vote Simone out.
So why wouldn't you? So I'll just slightly backtrack real quick.
Yeah.
So looking back, I guess, after the show's over with, and you see all the things and you heard all the things that Jake was accused of, and we've seen it on TV. We don't get to see anything bad that Jake, if he did anything wrong to Winnie, Tolu, Julie, whatever, etc. He didn't say anything derogatory,
Yeah.
Evil or anything like that. So
right.
Do you think that he had a bad label placed upon him, and then misjudgments were put on him, and then maybe you had some false information spread to you at all? Or do you kind of stand by like everything what the girl said, or maybe they were over exaggerating things? Like, what do you think?
No. I totally believed what he had said to them. And another thing was, so I was Mama J. Okay. They just gave me that name right off the bat. So of course, sometimes, and it doesn't look like it looks like nobody's talking to me, but that's not true. And I remember that Julie, there's that scene. So Julie is we're all sitting on the couch, and Julie sits down and she lays her head on my shoulder because she feels a little bit betrayed about Jake. And I'm just kind of patting her shoulder, and I can't remember what the circumstance was, but it was just kind of a done dirty thing to Julie. So I'm in full protection mode of her. So there we all are in this. Now we're all in this room together. So now I got Julie, I got the ladies. I'm at, no, this is not right. You shouldn't be using Julie. You shouldn't be saying things to Winnie and Tolu. And I believe everything that they're telling me. So yeah, I'm still there. And you see that I kind of stand up to him. And
yeah, I was just about to get to that. So yeah, we get to the table and whatnot, and you said you felt like you were being dismissed. You felt like he was being a misogynist, and that Jake kept putting himself at the top of the list, saying he's the smartest, and you weren't happy about that. But Jake said if anyone thinks they should have been at the front, they could have just told it to his face, and he would have done it. And during this conversation, so I'll just keep it at that first, and I'll finish it off. But during that, and you're going at him, is he making any valid points to you during this? Because it's edited for us, so we don't get to see everything. So is there anything like, looking back in the moment that you kind of like, okay?
Yeah, no, I'm thinking he's just saying the typical stuff that guys say when women are standing up. And so he kind of is trying to, I call it flipping back, when people want to flip back and kind of make it your fault. Well, it's your fault that you didn't stand up to me. That type of stuff is going on. And then he was talking about I think he was kind of talking about his career and everything. So remember, I go, hey, my husband was an Air Force pilot in the Vietnam War. And, he doesn't he doesn't act like this. He was that type of like you, but he doesn't act like you do. Was kind of, I think, what I was trying to get across. And they just totally, I don't even know if they knew what the Vietnam War was. You know what I mean? But that was a real personal statement for me, because my husband is such a gentleman. And I think it's from being what he was. That's how a soldier would come home, or whatever. I mean, I think that's what I was trying to say. And so I didn't feel like, because Joe, he's being crappy to Julie, and he's being crappy to them, and he's just doing. So that's kind of the background stuff. And I think there's still stuff. Julie's really upset. And so that's kind of the stuff you don't see. There is a lot of conversation. I mean, it kind of turned into a big thing. To be honest, it kind of turned into a lot more than what you saw. But the main thing you did see was, though, then Simone says, "Oh, Jake, I'm not with them. Don't count me in with them." And then that just confirmed my suspicions of, okay, I'm over that. And I'm, like I said, I'm kind of in my big feminist. Women who kind of do that, it kind of bothers me. You're going to take his side after how he's acting. It was kind of one of those feelings of mine. Wasn't necessarily everybody else. And I think that's why I kept it quiet, because I don't think everybody else was feeling that way.
So, yeah, so that makes sense. So yeah, we finished that dinner table conversation out, and it's time for the next day, and the trust ceremony is 8 hours away. And so, like you said earlier, you and the girls are huddled up outside and whatnot, and you're talking about, so what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And so you're not telling anyone what's going on.
Mm-mm.
And you kind of know that Julie and Jake have a little thing going on at this point, and she's worried about him, and you can probably sense that, and you could see it on your face that what's going down. So what's the overall reasoning of why you just could not tell them how you were feeling? Did you think they were going to rat you out? What did you think?
One of them. And meaning probably I thought, no, I'm not going to say anything because Julie will say something. So because that's why, because Julie, that's the reason why he did the apology tour, was Julie said, you need to apologize to the ladies because they're really pissed. So knowing that she said that to him, why would I tell her who I'm going to vote for?
Okay. And then, so they had no suspicions that you were voting for Simone, like at all.
No.
And why?
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, well, okay. So I had no idea that Simone had told her story to everybody. All right. I wasn't privy to the sad story of her life, her marriage, whatever, because I wasn't there. So I am solely on the few things I had seen personally, why I was going to, vote her off. And that I just didn't want to tell anybody because of Julie. I just didn't trust her. So therefore, if we're all there, I'm just not going to tell anybody. I felt like that was the best way, because it's a sensitive thing. If when you talk about somebody is going to go home from here, it's kind of like, okay, is everybody going to hate me if I say it? So I just kept it to myself, because really you could have been, until they watched the show, not known who did it,
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, they kept a lot of secrets from you guys as well, until the show aired. So
yeah,
it was kind of crazy in that aspect. Okay. So you had a plan. Yeah, you couldn't tell her what's up, because then, she was going to put her foot down, and as she did. So yeah, it's time for the trust ceremony. Yeah, and everyone doesn't not vote except you and Julie, and you both eventually end up voting for Simone. And so when you get the results, are you? Are you shocked? Are you like, oh, I knew that was going to happen? Like, what are you thinking?
I didn't know. I thought I was the only one who voted until I watched the show.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think about seeing that Julie voted? How do you?
I was what? And then you're hearing her say, well, she thought I was going to vote Jake out, and that wasn't even true. I know. Isn't that funny? And I tell you, that turned into such a big thing. It was kind of like, oh my God, how could you do that? And I mean, even my lady friends were very upset that Simone got knocked off. And I'm looking at them going, you know, and and it was all because they had heard her story. And so they're just freaked out that anybody would do that to her. And I'm going, I guess I don't know. Maybe nobody saw but I just still kept quiet. I just still kind of went, gee, really? I was just caught off guard. And I was really afraid. Actually, I was really afraid I was going to lose Winnie as a friend, because Winnie was especially upset that Simone got knocked off. And that was some backstory, you know, because she related to her and her mom, and there was just stories there. And like I said, I am clueless. I just don't even have any idea. I'm just knocking her off because she said, I'm not with the ladies. And I thought that's kind of what we were about. And then all of a sudden I'm going, oh, okay. And then I knew.
So yeah, no, definitely. So some would say, you know, would your distaste for what Simone did trumps Jake's, you know, perception, you know, Jake's as a person? Like how did what she said, the one thing of her backing up with the guys, overtake your wanting to vote out, I guess, the lead guy? How did that happen? Like how did what did you, I mean, why didn't, is there a reason why you just chose her over Jake? Like, or why not just pick Jake?
Because Jake had done this apology tour, and Tolu is saying, listen, he really apologized. We talked. And so I was with Tolu. I said, okay, all right, we won't kick Jake off, but I'm still voting for somebody.
You
Go ahead, everybody be okay with Jake, but I'm still voting somebody off.
Okay. I mean, it's right, so she was voting regardless. All right, she was.
I was voting regardless because I had not heard the sad story.
Okay, the sad story is what we was missing. The key thing.
Yeah,
all right, got it. So soon we get out of there, and everyone's sad, and then it's time eventually the next day for the next test. And this is the shuffleboard test. You know, the left-hand side has 3 scoring tiles: 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, and the right side is you could be safe. Everyone picks the left side. This isn't really that deep of a game per se. It's kind of just like a little fun thing after the 2 semi-serious ones. So, yeah, you get the $1,000, and you know, eventually you guys, I believe you get a total of 12,000 or 15,000.
I think it's 18, or is it 12? Yeah, I can't. Yeah, you're right. I think it's 12.
Okay, yep. And so we skipped that one. That was just a filler, essentially, from my point of view. It wasn't, nobody had to say anything about everybody, and everyone seems to be happy about this.
Yeah.
And, you know, everyone's talking and whatnot, but then we see that, you know, Jake's saying that Mama J has to go, like she's a wild card. It's not looking good for me, because if she's here, she might vote for me, and she didn't tell anybody her plans last time. So after this shuffleboard game, how are you feeling now? Like, are you cool with everyone? Are you still thinking about voting Jake out? Like, what's going on?
I am fine. And I know because of the reaction that was about Simone being kicked off, I knew I wasn't going to vote anybody else off. I was over it because it was a very emotional night. I'm not kidding you. We were up until 2 in the morning. I mean, people crying, and oh my God, I mean, I felt terrible, you know. But I still had my reasons why. And I still would have, no matter what. Even if I would have heard the sad story, because here's who I am. Okay, I was a single mom. I had a couple of kids. I've been married 3 times. I had to start from nothing. You know what I mean? I just wasn't putting all my little stories out there. So I'm going, well, yeah, I've done, you know what I mean? So it's not like I didn't have sympathy. It was like, well, yeah, I get it, but so what? It's just like,
I feel
I get it. It sucks.
Yeah. Everyone has a tough story, and you can't put someone's struggle over the next. It's not the struggle battle where it's like my struggle is harder than your struggle, and this struggle is that. So I get it. You're
Yeah,
kind of like, I
and I
get
do.
it.
And are they true struggles? I don't know. Because everybody, you don't know what everybody's talking about. So I'm just like, if anybody says something about, oh, they got to take care of their kid, they're a single dad or something. If they said that, I'm like, so, because it was like, I get it. I was a single mom, 2 kids, blah blah blah. So. That's just,
I
I
feel
don't
you.
know
I
why
feel
I just thought that was funny. And I can just remember going, so.
She's a savage. Okay. Well, well, it's soon time for the next vault card draw, and this time Jake goes into the vault as well as Bryce. So it's them two, really pretty much opposite, two opposite guys going into the vault and whatnot. And they get the offers. Offer one, you each get to keep $10,000 from the trust if someone goes home at the next trust ceremony. Offer two is $2,000 are added to the trust for each person who does not vote at the next trust ceremony. And so, how when they come back and they tell you guys what these offers are, how are you feeling about what their decision was?
I'm okay with it. And remember, I don't know that Jake is, I found it really funny when I watched the show that how scared Jake was of me. I'm going, what?
I mean,
I
you
just,
had him stripped because you was keeping everything tight, so it's like, you know.
I wasn't. And he's calling me, I'm a sniper, I'm a loose cannon, I'm a this. I'm like, really? So I didn't know that. I did not know he felt that way, honestly. And when he's down there saying, we got to get Jay out of here, we got to get Mama Jay out of here, and I'm like, really? I just found all of that kind of funny when I was watching it because I did not know. I wasn't even feeling the vibes, I wasn't scared that I was going to get kicked off. I mean, I guess you always kind of wonder, but yeah, I wasn't afraid at that point.
Okay. Well, soon they tell you guys this, and then some time passes and whatnot, and this is when Bryce reveals to, I guess, to the public, he's talking about him being a millionaire and whatnot, and he's thinking about telling people. Did you have any idea that he was a millionaire during this time?
I did, but I didn't have it. I think him and I were very good friends. But you know what? I don't know what those shoes look like. I didn't know he had Vuitton ball. I don't know any of that stuff. So when I'm hearing all of this, I'm sharing the bathroom with him. I know that he wants to look nice and stuff like that, but it could have been from pennies as far as I was concerned. I didn't know. So when all of this stuff is going on and on and on about it, I'm just going, really? Because he had money. And my secret was I used to be a millionaire. And then we just had way too much fun and we're not millionaires anymore. So I just kind of went, he's 22. Well, so what? I mean, I had been in that. I'd been up and down several times financially. So I don't think it bothered me quite as much as it did everybody else. Because you know what? Maybe if he won something, he was going to donate it to charity. You know what I mean? It's not like why would you? I mean, just for that reason, because he was nice to everybody and he wasn't voting anybody off. But it's like maybe he would have done something really cool with that money if he would have stayed on. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. I hear you. It's interesting to hear. Yeah, definitely. I understand other perceptions and whatnot. And you guys have a completely different one because you actually got to know him, not just from what
we were just kind of nice little friends. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. And so, we saw you that you get a little upset that Jake and Julie are flirting heavy and hardcore on the show. You're kind of getting over this little showmance going on.
Yeah. I love that clip. Remember? Because I'm looking for birds. And then Winnie says, well, don't you want to go talk to Julie about this? And I go, nah, I'm over them. And I'm just looking for birds. And then they show that vulture. I just love that clip because you see what I'm doing. I am truly let me look for some birds and whales. That's really just kind of, you guys go do your thing.
They was doing their thing, all right,
yeah, it was kind of yeah. But I think all of us were upset that he was so. One minute she was good with him, and the next minute he kind of do her dirty, and I just hated that. We all did, and it just kind of like I don't quite understand. I never quite understood why she, let herself be treated like that. I still don't understand it. Never will. But you know what? Back in my 20s, I probably would have been acting the same way. Honestly, I would have been in there going, she thinks she's going to have Jake. I'm going to have Jake. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, look,
Really? Yeah.
I'll say, yeah, I mean, I'll say, you guys got to experience close to each other more so and hear everything. As a viewer, I didn't see Jake treat her that bad or bad in my opinion. I try and look at every angle. The only thing I could see her getting upset is the line thing. And,
Yeah.
But maybe they had talks outside of it and saying like, look, I can't put you up top because then people are going to know we were really tight. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have not spoken to either of them about the situation, but we'll talk to them soon and definitely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. These are all my perceptions. And just like I said, I don't know what I was just really in this feminist mood.
Okay.
I really was. I don't know. Something had happened in January that I was like, I'm just really.
Uh-oh, it's January right now. Are you feeling that way right now again?
I'm kind of calmed down, but I can get wound up fairly easy with some of these issues. So yeah, but yeah, I do know what had happened, and I was really sensitive to something that really sad had happened in our town, and so I am very upset, and I won't go into it, but there are backgrounds of how all of us, when we came in, we don't know what has happened to us as we got on that airplane or what we were feeling. And then that is true. It's not scripted. It's just, we all have our feels about what's happening. And my feels happen to be at that time, nobody's going to treat us like we're second-class citizens and talk to us. And I hate this calling us. Just because a woman has an opinion, don't call us a fucking loose cannon, emotional, because guess what? We have heard it all our fucking lives. Shut up. Just shut up. I'm sick. That kind of stuff is so irritating. Oh, you're on your rag. Oh, she's on the rag. You know what? Stop it. And I don't know what the answer is to that. It's not just this show, it's just life in general. So so that's where I'm at in my head. Give me my embroidery.
No, definitely understandable.
Yeah. And so, it was, I was hypersensitive actually. Yeah.
Got you. That's perfectly understandable the way you explained it just now. So
yeah.
it's time for the trust ceremony. This trust ceremony, nobody gets voted out. We're all safe and happy. And there's a party. Get to clap, kumbaya, and whatnot. Good vibes going on. And it's time. You guys get a nice fancy dinner as a reward. And when you guys get down to the dinner, everyone's talking, have a good time opening up. But then Bryce stands up. And he's like, look, it's time for me to tell what's going on. I thought he was going to tell a different secret. But he said that he was a millionaire. And he, explains everybody that. And everyone seems to give him good reception and whatnot. Except Julie. You could see it on her face. It was, a blind man could probably see what's going on at this with her. And so when he explains it and whatnot, and you guys are at the dinner table, how are you feeling about this? I mean, I know you said you already touched on it earlier where it wasn't a big deal, but the way he explains it and the way he says it, is it a little off-putting or is it kind of just like whatever?
It wasn't to me. It just wasn't. It's like, because number one, I feel like that he's not the only one there with money. So it's kind of like, I thought he's 22. He's proud of his achievement. He's made money at a young age. And I just think, like I said, you could hold up any shoe in front of me and I would not know what it was. So I think there's just a side of me that, well, but I don't even name things, So whatever he's saying, and it just doesn't bother me either way. I was not incensed. And I think that's why you don't see me on those conversations, because I don't care. To be honest.
Do you understand Julie's point of view of where she's coming from and why she's annoyed? Does that make sense? Or it's kind of just like, it's a little.
Do I understand? Once again, do I totally believe her background? But no, of course I understand. It's just that I'm not going to get in. I'm not getting involved in it.
Got
And
it.
I think
Got it.
that's kind of apparent. I'm not having conversations about it. It's just, yeah, I'm kind of done. I tell you, the Simone thing got me, the reactions, the angel, all of this, it got me. So I'm really just kind of,
You just kind of just chilling right now. Like, look, I did my
I
one vote.
am.
I ain't voting no more. I'm done. Y'all can
I'm
play the
done. I'm
game.
not voting. Just leave me out of it because I can't. And it's funny. I got to tell you this, DeAndre. So, oh my God, one day I was not feeling well. My stomach was upset, and I'm just kind of outside and chilling and looking at the ocean. I just liked looking at the ocean. It gave me a lot of peace, and I did like looking for whales. But my stomach had been a wreck, you know. And so they come up to me and go, oh, well, this is what we're thinking. And this is what we're thinking. Now, what do you think? Are you with us? And I'm like, I don't know. I said, I have just been shitting all day and watching whales. I don't care. That's what I said. I go, I don't know. I'm not thinking about that. I'm trying to get my stomach under control. So, once again, they didn't know where it was. And it probably had to do with Bryce. I really can't remember. I just remember saying that. And I think they just kind of walked away.
I remember, yeah. That was a funny time. That was a funny moment. Well, yeah. Soon, yeah, you guys finish off the dinner and whatnot and head out. And Gasper gets to pick who gets to go on this little excursion because
Oh,
he was the one not picked, and he picks Brian and Julie. Were you fine with that, or were you kind of just like, I wanted to go?
I'm over this baby and Julie thing and everybody, it's so, stereotypical, the guy seeing the poor little waif and, oh, she deserves this because this is what she grew up, because that's what everybody always said. Oh, this poor little thing, and oh my God, nobody's been this nice to me. And I'm just, okay. So yeah, okay, but because it did sound like fun, don't get me wrong, it did sound like a fun trip, and then I'm okay, but I am kind of over the let's give Julie this and let's give Julie that. I'm going,
They protected her. They sent her on the trip.
I'm just, yeah, I'm kind of over all of it. And it's like, okay, yeah, go have fun. And, then that was our day. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was a lot of catering to Julie per se
Yeah.
in the first
Yeah.
4 episodes. I peeped it. No, I peeped that. But yeah, soon they go on their trip and they get an offer at the vault, and one's offer they have to look at the offer, and if they look
Yeah.
at it, they have to take it. If they don't, then they don't, obviously.
Yeah.
So Brian doesn't even look at it, and Julie, she accepts the offer, and the offer is basically you must vote someone out at the next trust ceremony, and you'll get $15,000 if the person you vote is evicted, essentially. And during this time, Tolu and Winnie are talking about voting off Bryce. Do they come to you and talk to you about voting off Bryce?
They might have, but when I see all the conversations and that conversation with Lindsay, and I mean, poor Bryce, I don't think anybody really did, to be honest. I don't think they did come talk to me about it, because I think I'm still just kind of I don't care. I'm not after anybody. I was not after Bryce. So no, I don't think they talked to me really, that I remember. I'm not saying they didn't, but it wasn't important to me if he was going to be knocked off. Okay. I think I knew it, but I knew I didn't have to vote for him. That was the thing. I knew I was okay. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, it's Brian and Julie return from the trip, and they tell them they did both decline the offer. And you have no reason not to believe Julie at this point, but she lies about that. And soon, everyone's talking and whatnot. Did you have any inclination that she didn't take the offer, or did
No, I really didn't. I really didn't. Because the offers are kind of scary. And I actually, I don't think, it seemed like there was a thing, if you look at it, you have to do it. And that's why Brian didn't look at it, but Julie did, because those offers can be scary. You know what I mean? So yeah, I did believe her that she didn't.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we move on, and everyone's still, the girls are talking about getting Bryce out, this, that, and the third. And he explains like his money's convoluted. It's not what defines him. And soon you guys are at the table, like I said, and you say that Bryce does not have to apologize for having money, and he's here for a reason, and doesn't have to be ashamed that he has money. I agree with that statement, and like I know plenty of people that are millionaires, and they're very nice people, very humble people, hardworking, deserving. I do think personally it's a way you kind of say things that helps, and I feel like he's so young to where he doesn't know how to, and he might not have gotten too much out of his bubble, so he doesn't know how to phrase things to people
Yes.
who aren't in his area or doesn't have $1 million. And maybe that's just, I think it's more of a maturity thing, because
Hmm.
it just seems like he didn't know how to word things. I could
Right.
see what he was trying to say, but it just didn't come across that great. So what do you think about him like saying this at the table before the trust ceremony?
I just felt like he was trying to explain himself out of it. And that's why I said, you don't have to apologize for your wealth. And, other people at the table, if you see her going, oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm going, when in reality, they weren't thinking that's true. But I felt that's just how I felt. And like, again, I am feeling like he probably isn't the only person who is wealthy at the table. I don't know who is and who isn't, but so there's enough of that in me. I'm just like, leave the guy alone. He's been honest. If you're gonna knock him off, knock him off. But he said as much as he can say, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. He just probably needs to learn how to word things a little bit better and be a
yeah,
little more empathetic and not kind of just like, yeah, I got this
yeah.
and I got that and I'm happy with it. I'm like,
Oh, yeah. Well, and see, I didn't see some of those conversations, right, until I see the show. So, of course, had I heard those, maybe I would have been maybe felt a little different. But again, I didn't hear them. And there was, I was kind of protective of Bryce, to be honest. I just kind of there was just background stuff going on. And I was just like, you know what, don't do that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where I was. I was kind of Mama J a little bit. And that's when he was trying. I think that's why I said, you don't have to apologize for this. I mean, that was from me knowing a bunch of crap. And I just thought, I just want him to know. I
yeah,
kind of had
no,
his back, but it's just be quiet and it's okay.
yeah, definitely. So, he eventually gets voted out of the trust. Three girls get him out, or four actually. The other four girls get him out. And soon, this next little question is one I've been really wanting to ask you since I saw it happen on TV. This is for me, I guess, what I want to hear from the most is once you guys are done and you guys are chatting and you're all talking and Brian's, like upset and he's like, he doesn't understand why. Like, I like Bryce. He says Bryce is dynamic and was a good guy with a good heart and always kind. He said he was a bird of a different feather. And then you said, what do you mean by a bird of a different feather? And then Bryce said, I don't know. I just like him. So what did you think that he was referring to?
What do you think? What do you think, DeAndre? Now,
I'm just
come
asking
on.
questions.
Come on. And so and once again, I am hearing stuff in the house. Now, I'm not saying I heard it, Brian, but I am hearing stuff. I knew exactly that. Why am I jumped on about that statement and nobody jumps on him? Let's go back again. The guys can seem to say all sorts of shit. And it's like, it's okay. And then a woman, one of us ladies say something and it's like, well, you're a bitch and you're this, it's like, no, why did he even have to say that? Right? I mean, that's what I said. And I go, and so this is funny at our watch party last night when my friends know me, they know how I react. They know that, and they said when they saw that scene and they saw my face, because I kind of go like this. And then I might have been going like, should I say something or not? I think I'm kind of thinking, and my friends all were saying, don't say it, Jay. I just cracked up and I said, yeah, I kind of had a conversation just for a second.
I thought that was probably one of the funniest parts of the whole entire series. I'm not gonna lie. I was dying when like I saw that. I had to rewind it a couple times. I was like, yo, she actually said it.
I did. And really, and you have to know, I do have friends of everything. I mean, you know what? I'm very open. I'm very lucky. I have, especially being in the comedy community, you have everybody. You have trans, you have gay, you have black, you have white, you have this. I mean, it's like, I'm just one of those people. None of it bothers me. I'm true that we're all here for a reason, and I am not going. How can I be okay? Yeah, I agree with what you guys are saying, and then have a gay friend. I'm not going to be that friend. You know, I left my church because my church was saying no, they can be a member of the church, but they can't be nothing else. And I go, well, okay, then I'm not going to be here because I can't have friends and then sit there and say, oh, well, they're gay and I love them, but I think they're going to hell. Right. I mean, that's not who I am. And so when I heard that comment, once again, I'm hypersensitive. And I just thought, why did you say that? Because where I'm from, that is kind of a thing. In where I'm from, if you say something like that, you are alluding to something. Now, if you don't want to admit what it is, okay. But why did he have to say it? Why couldn't he just say, oh yeah, he was a nice guy and leave it at that? I'm sorry, he's gone.
Yeah, no, definitely. It was interesting because it kind of came out of nowhere.
Well, and it was a thing. It was a big thing. And
really?
Yeah, it was a big thing. And he was really mad. Yeah, he was really mad. And yeah, things kind of turned the corner for me then.
So,
and yeah.
So what I guess I was going to say is like, so that was kind of, there was a lot of chatter and murmur talking about Bryce in that aspect and whatnot. And it felt kind of, I guess to you, maybe that it was just a lot of annoying whispers and people just need to kind of mind their own business, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense. And so it also during that, it seems like we might have missed something because between you and Brian, because Gasper says, what was up with Jay? We got to get her out right after that. So is there something that we missed? Because it seems like we did miss something because that's all that pretty much we saw was you say, why'd you say that? And he said, I don't know. And then that was it. Was there something else that led to Gasper saying like what was going on during the conversation?
Yeah, it turned into a big thing. It turned into an ugly thing. And it was emotionally really, and I'm going to be honest with you. I cannot, from that moment on, I cannot talk about it without crying. Still, I can't watch it. I can't tell people about it. Just thinking about it, just listening, it makes me cry. I mean, that's how painful it was. And so yes, it was a fight. You know, it's they kind of say, hey, everybody, shut it down. And then Brian and I did talk, and so it kind of smoothed things over. But that's when some of this stuff behind the scenes is going on, and you don't see, that is the stuff you don't see. We did talk, and all of this kind of stuff, and but then things continue on, and it wasn't really, then that kind of is left in, that's not the thing anymore. And then it turns into something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I hear you on that. Yeah. That's like I said before, a lot of things left out, and I appreciate you, sharing that and being transparent about what's.
Yeah. It was, and yes. And here's an interesting thing. I want to tell you something. I was not a good sleeper. And so I would get up and wander around the house, and I might go to the snack box and get me some chips. And so you have people watching you. Well, one of my friends there, he would come down and talk to me. And so after this particular conversation that I had said, what do you mean by that? He said, Jay, maybe think about where he's from. And maybe think about, maybe he doesn't have as diverse of a life as you do. Not everybody you know, he might have just said that for saying it. You know what I mean? It didn't mean anything. And when he said that, I go, you know, you are right. You are right. I'm kind of bad about, you know, you think everybody's going to think like you, and no, they don't. And I went, oh my God, thank you. You know, and that's when I said, oh God, you know, I got to apologize. And yeah, and it made a good impact on me. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of things came from that. And it's another thing about me. Like I said, my friends going, don't say it, Jay. Don't say it. Right. Well, you know, sometimes I don't need to say it, but I did. And so, yeah, so that talking to my friend in the middle of the night helped me get my head back right, you know, just kind of change my thoughts and not be so judgmental and all of that kind of stuff. So, yeah, so that's when we were able to talk about it eventually. And yeah, so that's another little background of, it went on for, it was several hours of stuff.
Oh, wow. Well, we move past that, and soon, you know, people are talking and whatnot, and you see the alliances forming and whatnot. And soon it's time for the next test. And this time it's the test to see who's been telling the most lies in the house, and everyone gets their blindfolds. And when she taps each person on the shoulder, they are going to blow out whoever's candle they think that is about, who's been telling the most lies. And if you get 3 candles blown out, you're done essentially. The rules kind of seemed like it was kind of just open the air in that one too, but we moved and everyone gets their candles blown out, this and the third, and eventually Winnie gets all of her candles blown out, and she eventually gets the key card to go into the vault because of this. And when she gets down there, well, we find out that, and Julie does, before we find out Winnie goes into the vault, Julie tells you that she blew out your candle, and you seem pretty upset about this. So, you know, you didn't get the most blown out. So what triggers you on this, and how you really feeling? What's going on when Julie tells you that?
I'm really very upset about, I'm not upset about my candle because I'm okay. I was very upset for Winnie, very upset. I could not figure that out. So I'm kind of really just aligning with her. I was just aligning with her. And then I said I had blown out Jake's candle to, you know, so Julie knew I had blown out his candle, but, you know, it didn't matter. It was all about Winnie's candle. And it really was quite the thing trying to figure out really who did it.
So who do you think candles should have had the most blown out on them?
Jake.
You think he was the biggest liar?
I think I would just put Jake for anything. I mean, really, yeah, I think, I mean, I blew out his candle because it's just, that's it to me. That was the thing that was holding things up in a way for me. I mean, not personally, but you know, just think what it would have been like if he was not on the show. Just think of the different dynamics what would have happened. So anyway, that was just my time to say, okay, I'm just going to blow out Jake's candle. I knew he wasn't leaving, but that was just my way to do that. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah.
Well, soon when he gets to the trust and her offer, she accepts the offer, and it's $20,000 from the trust is hers to keep. But if no one is voted out in the next trust ceremony, she will go home instead. And soon, yes, that episode essentially ends with Tolu and Winnie upset at Julie because of what went down, and they're kind of losing her trust at this point, and they're kind of going at her. So how are you feeling about them two kind of quote unquote ganging up on Julie at this point? Do you think it's understanding on their point, or is it kind of like they're stomping her out too hard?
No, I don't think they're stomping her too hard. And I don't know that I was quite aware of that. I mean, once again, that is something I'm seeing for the first time. There's just a lot of distrust towards Julie. And it still kind of surprises me that she wasn't actually removed. I mean, it's kind of in a way, but it was, once again, there's a lot of this manipulation stuff that kind of goes on. that all of a sudden you're like, we got to get rid of her. But then it's like something changes, like, oh, I guess we don't. You know what I mean? So I think there was just back and forth of, no, you can trust me, and you know, all of this. So no, I no, it was whatever they felt towards her, it was okay with me, because she was, I mean, that was just part of what was going on with the strategy, I guess.
Okay, okay. Well, soon we move to the next test, and this test is going to be forthcoming because it's, you know, it's the one where everyone gets the cards, and you have a stack of everyone's names in front of you. You're going to pick the card you think is the best answers to each question that Brooke tells you, and you're going to place it face down. And if the person with the most votes on that one gets a chip. And unlike poker, there's no risk in the game. You can only make money from this. And so everyone has this chip. We continue with the game, and it goes through. They do a fast forward motion of it. It lasts seems like 2-3 hours. How do you feel? How did you feel about this game?
I was oh my God. So that day we're all reined in. Okay. And that's when I found out that Lindsay had been behind my back, and I didn't know it until that day, until an hour before that. Because I'm sitting there talking to her, and she was putting her makeup on, and she goes, so are you voting tonight? I go, yeah. And she goes, who are you going to vote for? I says, Jake. And she got up and walked right into his room. I'm not kidding you. I thought I was going to faint. And it was earlier, Winnie had come in to me and said, do you trust Lindsay? I go, yeah, we're good. I do, you know, I'm probably sitting there embroidering, you know, yeah, no, we're fine. And then that happened. And I tell you, DeAndre, I walked down the hall to Winnie and Tolu's room, and I just said, I just need to know something. Are you my friends? You know, are you my friends? And they go, of course. And then I told them, you know, what Lindsay had just done. And then I go back to my room, and, you know, I got to get ready, and I'm kind of shaky. And I call in one of the, you know, the staff who are, you know, they monitor you. And I said, would you come in here for a minute? And they did. And I go, I want, from right now, nobody calls me Mama J anymore. I'm over it. Do not call me that ever again. And I felt so stupid. I felt so sad. And I just felt, I can't even, it was so awful. And so anyway, you know, we have to go downstairs and sit at that stupid fucking poker table. And I have to sit right next to to Lindsay. And, you know, and it's like, I would literally walk into a room during that day. Like if you'd walk downstairs to get a Coke or something, and those guys would get up and leave. I mean, it was just awful. Nobody was talking to me. And I don't know that we could really talk. You know what I mean? We might have been unmiked some of the day, and you're not allowed to talk if you're unmiked. But yeah, it was just, I could just feel it. And I just didn't even want to be at the table. And of course I knew I wouldn't get any chips. I mean, I knew it, you know, I know it's over. I know I'm going to be voted out. I mean, I just know it's my last day, but I was so hurt by the Lindsay thing. It was just naive of me. It was naive of me, but I did not see it for 1 second. So, you know, they have that stupid game, and, oh, Brian, you're the best, you're the best, you're the this, everybody's this. And then once again, I see Jake diss Julie, and I'm just like, God almighty, what is it, the whole thing? And so, you know, I got to go to the vault. And, you know, do you want to go that, or was there, I mean, to me, that was just.
That's exactly what I was about to get into. So yeah, I'm sorry you had to deal with all that. And, you know, it's the worst thing is walking into a place and people kind of just sitting there and not talking to you and act like you're invisible. And
it was like, that's, yeah. And I don't know, you know, it really is. I still, honestly, DeAndre, I have been through a million times worse situations than that. I don't know why it still makes me cry. It just does. I don't know. I'll go see my therapist, and we'll talk about it, because I don't know what is it in this little scene that is hurting me so bad. So so I go down to the trust. I have no idea, what to expect. I'm thinking, of course, you got to kick somebody off or whatever. And when they gave me that offer, oh my God. Well, it was a lot longer of a scene than what you see, because it was just because I had just taken their $25,000 that they just
Mhm.
all won. Yippee. And I took it, but I think I was really, really upset in the vault. So it took a bit for me to be able to kind of really do the scene. And yeah, and I was out. And one thing that was good for me, is what was a saving thing for me, is that the staff really liked me, and they really they just did. I don't know, we just all had a good rapport. And when I came out of the vault, they were all really happy, and all of this stuff. It was cool. And you get to the interview room, and then it's okay, we got to go get your stuff. And I didn't get to say goodbye to anybody, right? I was leaving, period. But what was sweet was, one of the producers or one of the people came up to me, and they go, Winnie and Tolu just say they love you, they're so sorry, and that made me feel good, that somebody did care. I mean, I knew they cared, but it was nice to get that little message.
Uh,
Oops.
Yeah, sorry, but I
That's
think
okay.
go ahead, go ahead.
Sorry about that.
You're good.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's how it was. And it was kind of sad, I think, watching it, that nobody really cared that I was gone. I mean, it was just, I wasn't anybody's angel, you know. And then, but I think that was a good time for me to be gone, because I do think emotionally it was getting a little much for me, because I do have to take medications for depression, and I take medication for anxiety, and I am somebody who, it was hard. It, and I tried to be strong. I think I did really pretty well. It was just that moment, because I do see, what if I would have turned it down and been there for told. I still think, I mean, we know that Winnie would have gone home the next day, for instance, right?
Hmm.
But then
Yep.
I would have been stuck. Yeah, look how ugly that would have been for me then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
a
No,
no.
definitely. I think. Yeah. No, I definitely think that everything happens the way it's supposed to, and that was your saving grace. You had an opportunity to take what you needed to and get up out of there, because what's most important out of anything is your mental health, and no amount of money can suffice that. And it was kind of the best of both worlds for you. You got to leave with some cash in your hands, as well as your mental state being still, all the way there. And it's not like
Yeah,
losing yourself in the music if you continue to stay
exactly.
in the
No,
game.
and it was fine. And and I tell you, I love. There has been some of the funniest stuff. It was like everybody was thrilled that I took that offer, after, because you're watching the show and you just see it. And then it was like, oh my God, we were so happy. We're so happy. And even the internet has been very favorable to me. I, unlike some of them, I don't know how people would handle the hate that some of them are getting. You know what I mean? I mean, I get called old ass, and I get old hag, and, I get called a few things like that. Last night I was a poisonous snake. So
Well, you well, you're a comedian and you're unhinged. So I think a combination of those two things, nothing can really bother
oh,
you, especially something says online. So it's like,
you know what? It's funny. You know what I do? I take those kind of comments and I put them on my Facebook, and I go, well, couldn't I just be a snake? And then I put another one. She called me an old hag, and I go, hey, and I put her thing on my Facebook, and I go, in these here parts, it's an old hide. I just took all of them, and just I would put them on there, and because I thought, because I am a comedian, I really, but no, if I was getting some of the real true icky hate, I have felt bad for everybody who has gotten hammered.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I think you took it with grace and stride, and then flipped it on the set upside down, and that's the best you could do, honestly. When people say anything negative, I just laugh at it because
Yeah.
they ain't getting under your
Yeah,
skin that
because
easy.
some of them
So
are just
definitely.
really funny. I go, really?
Oh yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
it's all in all, for me being my age, it was a once in a lifetime opportunity. And people say, was it fun? And I go, it was a job. That's kind of what it felt like. Was a job. You really, it's not like you could just get up and go jump in the pool necessarily. You kind of had to mics on, mics off. And so yeah. And it's fun to see. I had to kind of get over seeing my wrinkles on the TV. I had to kind of get through that. The first, I just watched it a couple of times. I said, don't sit here and shame yourself and all that. But then I don't even see him now. Isn't that funny? It was, I did that, kind of caught me off guard a little bit.
Hey, look, same. I was like, oh, that's how. I mean, I'm an actor, so I've been on camera a lot. But every time I see myself on camera, I was like, oh, snap! Like, what's going on?
I know. It's like,
Well, cool,
so
cool. That's excellent. Yeah, that's excellent. I'm happy that you got to lead the game with some cash. That's awesome. Not a lot of us, people get to say that, at all. And
right,
you had
right.
it was a good experience for you overall. Is there anything I guess that this experience has taught you that you'll take forward with you?
Well, not really. It's not stuff that I haven't experienced before. Had I, if I look at it, definitely when I look at it, I think, why were we so stupid and not knock Jake off right in the beginning? I look at that. What was up with that? And I find it kind of funny. I go, oh yeah, I know what's up with it, because I've had a lot of men in my life. I get it. I've been manipulated like that. Oh, honey, it's okay. And, then they can be a jerk the next minute. It's just funny for me to kind of look at it now. But no, I do not want to be on a reality show. I want to be on something. If I was on anything, I want it to be more positive, and I want it to be more empowering. And I think it could still be fun and interesting. But I'm kind of tired of the women kind of being called out all the time for using those same terms like what I said. And, but yeah, no, you know what? And also it's kind of weird when the show's over, my friends leave last night, and then I sit down and I go, oh, wow. Okay, the show's over, and what do you do now? It's kind of a weird feeling.
Yeah.
And but I have some cool things coming up, and everybody was going, oh, you got to call him agent, you got to this, you got to that. And I just go, I'm so out of my realm with this, DeAndre. I mean, I just literally learned how to do Instagram stories last week, where they ask you the questions. You see, I have no followers. I mean, I'm just that's just who I am. So it's been fun, and it was a good experience. And yeah, did I overreact? Maybe, but it was really who I am. I would have done that if I wasn't on a show, probably. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I like
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
All you can be is the best version of yourself, and I think that's what you was. And everyone loves the unhingedness. Nowadays people kind of watch a little bit too much of what they say, which kind of waters down reality TV, and essentially. And you didn't do that, which I loved. And so it was very cool to kind of be able to witness someone actually truly be themselves and not worry about this, that, and the third with
yeah.
everything. So
Because
I love that the most. So
yeah, and I think because of age, it was easier for me too, because I'm not trying to be, you know, become something, or I want somebody to pick me for a show or anything. It's so I think it was easier for me. And so yeah, so there's some ideas. My biggest thing is I would love to have a Lay's potato chip commercial.
hey, speak okay now. We'll speak to existing Lays. If you Lays, anybody knows the Lays,
Frito
corporate.
Lay, well, they're in my town, and somebody said, well, why don't you just go knock on their door? And I go,
You might have to see what's up.
well, yeah, no,
Send me an
to
email.
me,
Send me an
this is how things for me happen. Is I sit back, take some breaths, because you know what happens in these situations is you end up just thinking about yourself all the time. And I don't
Mhm.
want to do that. I have a dear friend who's just been not diagnosed with a yucky cancer. I've got things going on that, I got to think about others. And sometimes I can get, you can get wrapped up in yourself just because of this experience. And I don't want to do that. So I'm just sitting back doing some podcasts. I like them. And I really, really have always enjoyed yours. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you coming on, giving your perspective, everything as well. It was a blast having you. And thank you also for watching as well. Because we got some other people coming on that you'll be interested to hear from. I'll just say that.
Yeah. Yeah, and
And
everybody has their yeah, and it's cool. Everybody has their own story, and that's what's interesting. Yeah, it's cool.
definitely, definitely. Well, thank you so much for joining DeAndre Way one more time for the Trust Aftermath podcast. Beautiful guest, Jay Patterson in the building. If y'all ain't, go make sure to follow her on her Instagram page and make sure to book one of her comedy shows because I know when I get back in town, that's the first thing when I plan on going home. That's the
Oh,
first thing I'm doing is I'm trying to see what's going on and I'm gonna be there. And make sure y'all follow her at J Patterson 2802 on Instagram once again. And thank you
nice,
so much again
nice.
for joining me. And for
Thank you,
everybody else,
DeAndre. Truly, truly, thank you.
of course, of course. And to everybody else, thank you for watching. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Peace and blessings.